Okay, well I have the machine all pulled apart into its component parts, or at least mostly. There's still some CPUs in it, but one CPU looks like the other three, so who cares. This is where the power comes in, so this is your power supply, well it's where the power supply plugs in. So you have a regular power supply like this that plugs into this sort of backplane connector type thing here. So this is basically one massive VRM. You see in there, like DC to DC converters, there's probably about all that's in there. Might pull this down, tear this down a bit further if anyone requests it, but I can see there's not a lot in there, it's just a bunch of, basically it's just a connector and a couple of transistors and things like that. DC to DC converters. Right, other thing we have is a RAID controller and like system management board. So this thing takes care of things like graphics. This is the graphics card, there's an ATI chip on there as well, and there's a VGA connector on the back. There's a network connector. There's something that looks like some sort of power connector, I'm not sure what that's for. Yeah, definitely looks like a power connector. It's a USB type B connector and another connector on the back there, presumably for this top part of the board, which is the RAID controller. So that controls the hard drives. There's the other connector there for that. There's a little backup battery there, or supercapacitor, whichever it is. So that appears to be removable from the first board. So it's like a daughter board that attaches to the graphics card, basically. It's probably upgradable. You probably get different memory and things like that. It's got this massive PowerPC IC on there. IBM 25 PPC 450 5 GP-38, what is it, B? 3B E200C. There's some memory next to that. Not sure what it is. An MX. Another. That's like a. There's like some sort of ROM memory on there. There's an FPGA here, Landesite. Yeah, Cyclone. Yeah, Cyclone. With some memory accompanying that. Another IC here that I'm not sure what that's doing. Probably a bit of communication between two. Broadcom chip just there. Remember, I've not really researched any of this. I've just literally pulled the thing apart and had a look. But I know what the basics of this is: RAID controller, graphics card, and so on and so forth. Sorry, not to go into too much more detail about that, but I'm sure you'll know what you're looking at. Though you've probably never seen the side by these before, or maybe you have. Maybe you've you're in a big data centre somewhere, and you see them on a regular basis and think, oh no, not another one of them bleeding things. So here we have the memory cards. There is 4 of these, 120 gigs of RAM in total, 128 gigs of RAM, sorry. One of them was missing one of its RAM modules, hence why it's throwing a fault. It's that one there. I've no idea where that thing is. I've not pulled it out. I've got it like that. It's got supercapacitor for backup in case the power's lost, and a button to test it. So there's a green light, LED just there. Load of electrolytic capacitors. There's the memory VRM. You think, oh, it's only memory, but all them little memory chips must take quite a bit of power eventually. It all adds up. These are little control chips for the, presumably for like memory controllers. They're not on the CPU, they're on the motherboard itself, or rather the memory riser cards in this case. Here are the connectors that plug it into this backplane connector on the motherboard. What else do we have? Oh, of course, the CPU voltage regulator module. Pretty obligatory, really. Big beefy thing. These are 130 watt parts, 130 watt TDP. So they're pretty high power. I know this stuff's on like lino, but it really doesn't matter. This thing's pretty much e-waste by this point. Although I will be having some fun with it, I dare say. Try to see if we can run some games on it or something like that. I've just left the CPU over there. I've just realised. I'll add it on to the end and show the what the CPU looks like. There is 6-core Xeon socket 604. See the socket down there. A bunch of capacitors, all solid state capacitors in here. No electrolytics at all. I can tell. That's where your drive base is. There's some shmoo in there. There's grease. There's the daughter board. Connects to the back of the machine. more control ICs on there, like Northbridge and Southbridge type things, between your PCI Express lanes there, slots rather. Just a bunch of cabling, SATA, things like that for the hard drives and the optical drives. That stuff just there. Power supply cage. And that's it really, that's all there is to it, although there's a hell of a lot of circuitry in this thing. I'm not going to pull it completely apart. I don't really want to destroy it, although I'm not too fussed if something does go wrong with it completely. I've got plenty of spares and I can pick these things up dirt cheap. And I'm not sure this one's even 100% anyway, so... So that concludes our partial teardown of the IBM server. Well, it doesn't, there's going to be a bit more on the end of this video. Actually no, I'm just going to walk over and do it now. Okay. Right, sorry about that, I just didn't want to edit this because here we have our CPU score. This is for all 4 6-core Xeon CPUs. I should have mentioned the memory in this thing is DDR2, which will become quite clear in a minute. So here we have the legacy product Xeon X7460, discontinued. Launch date Q3 of 2008. Expected discontinued Q3 2011. Now on the 45nm manufacturing process, and $2,837 each per CPU. Number of cores is 6. They run at 2.66 GHz, 16 megabytes of level 2 cache, and 166 MHz FSB, 130 watt TDP. Sockets PGA 604. The T case limit is only 64 degrees, so that's not a lot. 64-bit processor, obviously. Yeah, that concludes the video on this Metro server from 2008. I'll just show you what one of these CPUs looks like very quickly. If I don't drop it in my tea, that'll probably make a few people laugh. And I'll have to go make another cup of tea. I'm pretty sure the CPU will be fine after a bit of a clean into alcohol. So yeah, it's got pins, there's not little pads on there, so you've got to be careful not to bend the pins. And the heat spreader on top. Pretty old school CPU designed by Intel. They don't make them like that anymore. Right, that concludes this video. See you later.